Today, I'm back with another mega physical media rant ranking video for you all. Today, I'm going over the top 5 worst studio and boutique labels for physical media releases in 2023. Now, this is just my own personal list, of course. Your list would look completely different. So, leave your thoughts in the comments below on what you thought the worst, basically, distributors of physical media were in this past year. But I'm going over a certain criteria here. These are the factors which were title releases, also treatment of the titles, design, packaging, also release strategy in general business practices, and just in comparison to them, among others, and also in previous years. So, a lot of different contributing factors here. Did my best to come up with 5 that I was really disappointed in and thought could do a better job and will hopefully do better next year. But before we get into this list, of course, if you love collecting physical media just like me and being a part of this amazing league of mega film fan collectors, go ahead and mega smash that like and subscribe. That way you stay entertained and up to date on all the latest physical media topics. But let's go ahead and get into this list, working our way from the least worst up to the most worst. So at the bottom here, we're going to have Vinegar Syndrome. Now, I know some people are gasping out there that absolutely love Vinegar Syndrome. I'm just not a fan of this boutique label at all. I really don't have much Vinegar Syndrome titles in the collection. I still only have 2, but this year I don't think they came out with any real bangers out there that enticed me to pick up a title from their site. A lot of this stuff to me just seems like C, D level horror. Just not really anything too special. Also, a lot of dirty, doing the nasty kind of stuff on there. And I know they have their partner label stuff, but I'm just looking at the kind of the core of Vinegar Syndrome here. And so a lot of their titles just don't appeal to me personally. And even though they do a decent job on artwork, design, packaging, I will give them that. Some of their titles do catch my attention. I'm like, oh, that looks like a really cool movie. But I know based on their reputation that most likely the movie won't be so good. That's why I really didn't pick up anything from Vinegar Syndrome this past year, which is that giving them a fair chance? I think so. I don't know. I've done my research out there on their titles. And once again, I'm not going to overly pay for something that I think is going to be mid to very low quality, at least in terms of just the movie themselves. Whether their treatment is decently done or not, I have to put a priority on the movie title selection themselves. And once again, they're just not the movies for my personal taste. So if you love them out there, that is awesome. Just once again, I had to put them somewhere on this list. And so that's why they're not the worst of the worst. Keep that in mind, but I still had to put them somewhere. All right. Next up, we're gonna have to go with Scream Factory. Yes, I had to put another boutique label on here. I wanted to be fair, kind of get a combination of studios and boutique labels. And Scream Factory just ended up being that one I was a little disappointed with. They did a lot of rinse and repeat this year with just kind of re-releasing previous Blu-rays to the 4K Ultra HD format. And don't get me wrong, I mean, some of them are good movies, like The Burning. That was a great one. I enjoyed my first time watch of that because I didn't have the Blu-ray in my collection, so I picked up the 4K. But I can understand collectors that did have all these Blu-rays, just seeing all of them now get upgraded to 4Ks and being like, man, do I got to double dip here and now pick up these 4Ks as well? Especially when they really didn't add much to any of these releases besides, putting it into the 4K quality disc. So yeah, a little disappointed with Scream Factory there. I was wishing they were going to come out with some new hot titles, some really great horror movies that we haven't seen them release yet on Blu-ray, 4K, just completely new coming out there. And we didn't really get a whole lot of that this year. I mean, there was a few exceptions there, but once again, not one of those bangers of a title where you're just like, yeah, this is absolutely amazing. So why they're, a fairly consistent releasing kind of boutique label, they do give us a decent amount of titles, I guess you could say. It's just in the titles they selected there. And, they've had a lot of woes over the year as well. You got Grease on there. You got, things that are messed up on the disc, I guess you could say, or on how they label things on their covers and whatnot. And just, the customer service is pretty terrible as well. So if you do have an issue with them, they're not going to be the best people to work with. And then, of course, their sales were pretty garbage. I mean, that Shocktober sale was abysmal in what they were really offering. Not much deals there, and just other labels kind of just did a better job than them overall. So even though I do collect a lot of Scream Factory and they have their moments, I thought this year they kind of took a dip for me in quality, and hopefully next year they do rebound a little bit. All right, so how to get the boutique labels out of the way. Now we're going to get into the studios right here. So, getting into top three, I guess you could say, top three of the worst of the worst. We're going to have to go with Warner Brothers next. Now, I do like a lot of Warner Brother movies, but I don't like what they did with their packaging this year with the gold banner, with the 100-year, kind of label across it. A lot of it made it look the design so off on a lot of these movies like Evil Dead Rise, like the color scheme just didn't work together. Like they can even change it to like red to make it flow with the movie. So that kind of stuck out as a sore thumb to me. And then they just had a lot of missed opportunities. Like they did try with some box sets, like their 25 film, 4 volume WB 100 year anniversary box sets. But once again, they were Blu rays, they weren't 4Ks. So even though they were decent sets, I'm like, I have a lot of these movies already in my collection. Now, if they were 4Ks, I would have really highly considered them. They did do a 4K set, but that was released overseas. You had to, import it from like UK Amazon. So I'm like, lots of missed opportunities here for WB. And I just don't think they did anything super outstanding. So why they weren't like the worst of the worst, they made, I think, silly mistakes, silly mistakes that could easily be fixed next year. So why I wasn't super disgusted with them or offended by them. I was expecting more from WB, but this year they just kind of let me down across the board. Everything, physical media, streaming, you name it, that Discovery merger stuff just left a whole bad taste in my mouth. I mean, Shelby movies like Batgirl and the Wile E. Coyote one and all this stuff. I mean, we're talking mostly physical media here, but just all that leaving a bad taste in my mouth. I had to put them on this list. So they get, middle of the pack here. All right, now we're going to get into the top two worst of the worst. And the rants are going to get ramped up here, of course. So at number two here, we're going to have Universal. Oh man, Universal really pissed me off this year because they did a lot of, hey, business strategy of you get the Blu-rays way back when. We're not going to give you the 4Ks yet. We're going to get people to buy those Blu-rays first. And then, hey, we'll come out with the 4Ks later, cause a double dip for scenario and get more of that collector money. And that stuff just really irritates me, right? They did that with the Black Phone, Megan, a Violent Night. They didn't give us everything up front. They're like Blu-ray first. And then once you bought that, hey, now we're going to release the 4K and steelbooks and all that stuff. And that stuff just super irritated me. And I know if it irritated me, I'm sure it irritated some other people out there as well. So Universal just kind of it's mainly that business strategy right there that just kind of disgusted me when it's like you got to put out a better reputation, Universal, right? For longevity. You want collectors to come back to you in future years, but what they did this year, I think, is damaging them for future years. Because now next year, when they come out with a movie that's just on Blu-ray, I'm gonna wait on it. I'm not gonna pick up the Blu-ray. No way. I'm gonna wait till it gets a 4K. Now they're gonna be missing out on the collecting money, and that's how it goes. But fool me once, shame on me. But fool me twice. Oh wait, no, I said that wrong. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. But definitely all the shame on Universal this time around. So just overall, very disappointed with Universal. Even though they had some good horror movies at the box office, I'll give them that. But from a physical media collecting standpoint, they left some room to be desired there. All right, number one, number one. Now we're getting into the massive mega rant here because you guys know what number one is. I rant on them all the time. I make videos, news related, physical media topics, and half the time it turns into a rant about this studio. So you guys know it's Disney. Disney disgusted me this year pretty much in every single kind of way you can think of. First of all, it was their 100-year anniversary. They should have released some bangers out there, some really cool stuff we haven't got in the longest time. Some of their classic animated titles that were more obscure, hard to find. They could have released the 4K or some of their live action stuff or their catalog stuff with Fox, and they just sat on a ton of their stuff. And then the stuff they did release was not the best quality. People had issues with, say, like Heat and Pirates of the Caribbean, and it's just like they waited on all this Fox catalog stuff for so long, and their treatments were not the best of their movies. They try to get you to sign up for Disney Movie Club to get their exclusives, but then those aren't the best quality transfers, and it's a hassle. And there's like a gimmick with it, and then you try to go buy WandaVision and Loki on 4K Steelbook on Disney Movie Club to get your discount, and then they're sold out in like one day, and then it just makes you so irritated, and they don't put it back in stock. I'm just so disgusted with them. Not only that, they're overly charged prices. I mean, their steelbooks got up to like over 40 bucks. It's like, what the heck is going on here? They give you garbage, they overcharge you for their garbage, and they just piss me off this year. And not only that, oh my gosh, let's get into those 100-year anniversary steel tins. Like, they had to discount those suckers so much at Best Buy now to $10 just to try to sell them off because they were ridiculous. You had the little image squeezed into a square in the middle that just looked like a terrible design, like a kindergartner drew it. I mean, like that Iron Man one. Oh my gosh, a hand on the back. It was just awful. And the title selection for that was just the common movies we've all seen before. They did nothing special with them, just the same Disney stuff we often see. They just did such a terrible job. Not only that, their big giant box set with just Blu-rays in it, once again, not 4Ks, for like 1,500 bucks suggested retail price. Hey, you can make a mortgage payment this month, or you can buy this cheaply made together Disney box set with some crystal ears. No, wait, those are probably like some cheap glass. Like, what the heck is going on with this studio? They have such treasures they could be releasing to us, the physical media collecting community, and every time they just spit in your face, and it's absolutely disgusting. And they've been doing terrible with movies and box office and literally every single thing. I mean, raising their prices at theme parks. I mean, literally every single area of the Disney empire just absolutely failed this year, which is why they get a clear number one, worst of the worst for physical media collectors out there this year. I mean, they did such an awful job. And I would say there's like hope for other companies I put on this ranking list. But for Disney, I don't know. I don't know if the hope is gone for next year already. I don't know if they're going to even do better next year or do worse. And that is a sad point. You're at such a low point now, Disney. You think you have nowhere to go but up. But I really think you're going to even decline more than that. So just, I mean, the Marvel Universe in shambles. I mean, nothing is going right for this company. It is absolutely terrible. Every time I think about them, just a little disgusting taste in my mouth pops up. Ugh, just tired of that company. But man, I think I've ranted long enough on these companies. Like I said, this is just my own personal opinions. You guys are gonna have to let me know in the comments below. What ones do you agree with? Do you disagree with? Were there other studios or labels I should have put on this list? What if I made this a top 10? What else would you have included? And of course, mega smash that like and subscribe on the way out. That way you keep entertained and up to date for all the next year, of course, getting you with that physical media goodness. But bye for now, guys. Have a great time talking some movies. And if you enjoyed this physical media topic, mega click the next video right now. And thank you so much, my mega membership supporters.